guys, it's Christy here from the Stamp Cycle, and today we're going to be making a vellum heat embossed card. So I have my piece of vellum here, and we're going to be using the Love and Affection stamp set that's from the new 2016-2017 catalog. I'm sure you're getting sick of me using this stamp set, but kind of love it, so I keep using it. But anyways, we have our piece of vellum here, and we're going to be using the new end colors. And I'm going to start by stamping the largest flower first onto the piece of vellum using the Sweet Sugar Plum. And because these are really juicy stamp pads, you can stamp and then put embossing powder onto the wet ink and actually be able to emboss these images without using an embossing ink like a Versamark. So when you have really juicy ink pads, that's a really cool technique that you can do. You can emboss any image that you stamp with your ink pads that are nice and juicy, and they give you a really moist stamp. It holds the embossing powder nicely. So we're going to be stamping the flower pattern in the upper corner and the lower corner and creating like a floral bouquet, if you will, on this piece of vellum that will show through to the card base below. So I'm starting by stamping both of those big flower images, and then I'm going to be creating some masks so that I can continue to stamp my bouquet. So I'm using some Ink-a-Dink-a-Doo masking paper. This stuff is great for masks. It's very thin and sticky. I used to use Post-it notes a lot, but I found that I didn't get as great of a stamped image for my second image that I'm stamping over the mask as good as when I use the Ink-a-Dink-a-Doo masking paper. So hopefully that makes sense. But so I've fussy cut out the masks that I stamped, and then I will place those over the big flowers here and then continue to build my floral bouquet. Every time I stamp a new image, I will apply some clear embossing powder. I am using clear embossing powder by Wow. This stuff it comes in that humongous container. I don't think I will ever run out of clear embossing powder. You can use any brand you want. I have Stampin' Up! Clear embossing powder. I like that stuff too. Wow embossing powder, you don't have to use an embossing buddy because the embossing powder has its own anti-static elements to it if you keep it in the container that it comes in. So it's just really easy doing a project like this to use Wow because I don't have to apply an embossing buddy between every single step. So I will stamp the next image, coat it with the embossing powder, and then heat set it. So I'm creating a couple more masks here for the smaller flowers that I just stamped to continue building my floral bouquet. So I've used so far the Sweet Sugar Plum for the large flowers. These smaller flowers were stamped in Dapper Denim. And now I'm going to be adding some leaves. And these are going to be stamped in Emerald Envy. All of these, like I said, are the new end colors in the Stampin' Up! Catalog. I love these new end colors. They're very vibrant. They work well together. And they work really great with a lot of the other colors that we have. So there you see the final product. I've stamped all of the images in both the corners. They've been heat embossed and then heat set. So now I'm going to work on my sentiment. I didn't know if I wanted to use white or this Dapper Denim cardstock, so I was like, what the heck, let's stamp the sentiment on both and see what we think. So I'm stamping the thank you sentiment on both of these pieces of cardstock with some Versamark ink. And for the Dapper Denim cardstock, I'm going to heat emboss that sentiment in white. But for the Whisper White piece, I'm going to heat emboss that in gold. And then I'll hold it up to my card and see which one I like better. I do this sometimes when I can't decide what I want my final card to look like. So, you know, even though I'll have an extra sentiment piece, I can always use that on another project. So I don't think this is really wasteful. So to cut those out, I am using the layering tags die set, and these are great. They layer really nicely. So I cut both of those sentiments out using that one tag size, and then I'm going to cut out a piece of gold cardstock to layer underneath that. So now I'm just going to figure out, do I want the Whisper White? Do I want the Dapper Denim? What looks good? So just kind of looking and seeing what I think. And I went with the Dapper Denim. I really like that pop of blue on the front, and I thought it made the sentiment really stand out against that floral background. So I'm just going to adhere these pieces together with some snail. So I'm putting that Dapper Denim sentiment there onto the gold foil sheet, and now I'm going to adhere my vellum piece onto my card base. So this is just a card base of Whisper White cut at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, and I just used some fuse. That stuff is very strong, and it definitely gives you a permanent stick. So I use that to attach my vellum, so I don't have to worry about that coming apart. So I knew my sentiment needed some extra pizzazz there. So I got out my swirly scribbles die set that's new in the catalog, and I cut out that large circular pattern out of some Tip Top Taupe. I got some gold thread and wrestled with this gold thread a lot, and thought that would be a nice combo behind that sentiment. So I'm just going to adhere this, I guess it's a nest. You could call it a nest. I'm going to adhere this nest onto the front of the card with some Ranger Multi-Matte Medium. This dries matte and clear, so you can't see it. So I like to use it for die cuts like this in case any of the glue kind of seeps out the sides. So I cut out all of the video of me fiddling with this gold thread. This gold thread hates me. It absolutely hates me. I spend too much time fiddling with that gold thread trying to get it right. But, you know, hey, sometimes you just have to go with it. So I don't like when I do sentiments on the front, I don't like it to show through the adhesive, to show through the back of the vellum. So I just cut out another piece of Whisper White to cover up all of that adhesive on the back of that piece of vellum. And then I cut another piece of Whisper White and then the gold to just create a place on the inside that you could put another greeting or write a small little note. And I thought that was a nice finishing touch. So I also made this card the other day. This is a completely vellum card. It's using some of these new Spectrum Noir sparkle pens that are out there on the market. Those things are awesome. But I just heat embossed that in some gold glitter embossing powder and then colored it in with those markers. And kind of did the same thing with the sentiment there with the gold foil and the Whisper White. So those are my cards for today. Thanks for stopping by. If you want more information or would like to purchase the products you see today, you can head over to my blog at www.thestampcycle.com and find all the information that you need. Thanks again for stopping by, and I'll see you on the next video.